Hey, I have a new request today for drawing a tree, and we're going to do it in ink as well. So this one should be fun. This is a lot of fun to do. It's very free form and very liberating. You don't have to worry about it being right or wrong. It just has to look like a tree trunk. All right, so that's what we're doing, a tree trunk. Hey, I'm Rusty Nelson, your college art professor, and we're drawing trees. All right, so this is the setup. I have a nice piece of Bristol paper, cardstock, something smooth. There's no tooth to it or anything. I think that'll look really nice with the pen and ink work that we're going to be doing. I have a whole range of brush tip markers. To start off with, I'm going to get a medium tip. And again, as I preface everything, I'm not too worried about this being a photorealistic thing. I'm using this reference as a means to give me some data for what we're going to be doing here. So I'm drawing straight on the paper. I'm not worried about any blue line drawings or anything beforehand. And we're going to take it down to about right there. And we're going to come up to about right there. All right, so let's get this little sucker going. So we'll just kind of get in there. You got to kind of get into the old overall feel of the tree trunk and get all these little irregular shapes. All right, we got some irregular edges. These are a lot of fun, and we'll just keep working it, breaking the edges, bringing it down, bringing it down. We got all sorts of fun stuff happening with this. There's a lot of overlaps and various shapes overlapping and other shapes that you can work with. And right now I'm just going to try to capture all of the basic outline of it before I start worrying about all the details on the interior of it. So I'm just going to kind of indicate where some of those overlaps are happening. There we go. And we'll just pull it down and vary my width and thicknesses of my lines. All right, cool. Look at that. That sucker is sweet. There we go. Now we're going to come around, bend it around. We're going to pull it in. It comes clear over into here. Then we'll get that opposite shape. I'm going to try to do this quick. I don't want it to be too stodgy and overworked. Try to capture and connect all the various forms and shapes. Okay. There's another one. And then we got some secondary shapes. There's one over here as well. And one more right up here. I'm going to bring him off. The secret to drawing trees is also to try to keep them fairly angular and don't let the, even though this is a very noodly looking tree, you're still drawing it in a manner that is very angular. All right, so there we go. We essentially have that kind of figured out. Now I'm going to just come in and find some of the knots in here. So we have various knots happening, and I'm just looking at shapes. All right, and we'll just knock in some of those weird little shapes right there. We have a couple of interesting angles and things happening. I'm going to put this right about right in here. And these are really a lot of fun because it really gives you a chance to observe carefully and then to interpret. All right, so I'm going to now start finding some of the, again, I'm still looking for the deepest, darkest knots in here. There's a couple up here too. I'm just trying to look and try to get the directions of those knots that we can then start filling in some of the other fun stuff. So there we go. Boy, there's some real crazy gnarls right in here. I'm just going to kind of freeform some of that. We'll just deal with that. I want to keep these interior marks a little lighter. All right, oh, I see a really nice, I'm going to go ahead and use the benefits of this brush. I can really swap out and get a lot more thickness in that one. I'll pull this on down. Cool. And oh yeah. And as you can see, as you start working these things, it all starts to look pretty cool. There we go. I'm going to throw another one kind of up this way. There's a big dark shape right in there. All right. There we go. Right now I'm doing very descriptive lines. I'm just kind of bouncing around trying to get my basic foundation of the rhythms of all of these strands and streaks coming in here. Here we go. Again, get some of those really dark marks. I'm going to come around here, this whole thing. There we go. Like that, like that. I'm going to come around this side of it. There we go. Directional marks are your friend. There we go. Just got to start channeling all of the tree aspects to it, right? This has some crunchy bark-like forms right up in here. We'll just bring it around. A really thick crevice right there. All right, there's another one right here. There we go. All right. Got a bunch of bark right up in here as well. Just going to kind of throw it right up here. Changing all the directions and getting different textures to happen. Some directional cross contour lines, directional hatching, thick lines, thin lines. There we go. All right. Beef up that outer edge a little bit better. Some value marks right in like that. Yeah, this is starting to look good. There we go. And we'll just start pulling more of that shape. The more irregular you are, the more natural it's going to look. All right, cool. Again, it's got a very dark separation right there with that crack. And there's others that'll just kind of follow that rhythm till we get it right up under here. Then we start changing directions again. There we go. This is fun. And this can take, I mean, you could work on this for hours and hours and hours. And the more time you spend on it, the more refinement you get into it, it's going to start looking better and better. Get a little more darkness right up here. This is not only directional line for the grain, but it's also starting to read as line as value, and that's good. All right, I want to throw a little, this is an old graphic designer trick, make the outlines a little denser and darker than the interior line work, and it'll read really fairly nicely, nice and graphic. There we go. Starting to get some darkness up in here. Get some down here. This whole side is very dark, so we'll just throw a little more value and contrast right there. So I'm really trying to use line in a lot of different ways, which is why I wanted to do this little tutorial, because it is all about the line work coming into play and reading properly. So top portion is starting to look pretty good. I'm going to get a little irregular marks right in through here. It's dark right up here. Dark right down here. Again, more irregular marks. It isn't necessarily true to the photograph, but that's all right. Throw that one over. There we go. It's a little fatter than what's in the photograph. And I'm going to make that darker right there. There we go. That is really starting to look pretty cool. All right, we'll get a little more of a crunchy ledge right there. It's more of that bark shape right in there, so it's going to be a different type of a textural mark. Make that a little thicker. Got some line work going around that, coming up and around like a river flowing. All right. So very thin. So far, I'm working with a small brush marker, and just by simply adjusting my pressure, I'm able to kind of control a lot of thickness and thinness to the marks I'm making. I'm gonna get another big old. There we go. Throw a couple more darker things down in here, wrapping around. That is fun. I don't care who you are. You do this, you're going to have a good day and feel like you've accomplished something just by drawing a gnarly ass tree. Here we go. What the hell's that? Okay, I need a little more gnarl down here. More of that tree bark. Again, this is just descriptive and textural marks. I am going to worry about a little bit more of some marks for value, but I'm going to get more of this texture in first. And let me get another crunchy ass line right there. Big fat one. There we go. Perfect. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're cooking. So yeah, I'm just trying to get the essence of what's in that photograph and make it read. As long as it reads correctly, you don't have to worry about it matching line from line in that photograph. It just has to look right. Again, we have some irregular shapes kind of right in through here. I'm going to go ahead and throw that V shape right there, right in there like that. So just about got all of the descriptive lines, the wood grain lines in here. And I'm going to come after some of the value marks in just a second. If I can get a few more of these veins going on here. And this would be a lot of fun too. And since it is water resistant pigments on this marker, I could now, once I get all of this sketched in, I've got all my structure, my description, and everything that's needed here. You could add in and do a nice wash with this. And make it look really pretty cool. All right, now I'm going to get that crunchiness out here on this edge. So I'm varying my line weight. Control contrast. I could even throw a few cross contour marks in here for form. Get a little more of a big crunch right there. So we already have a pretty cool looking tree trunk with all the textures. So let's pull that up a little bit. There we go. I'm going to get a little more contrast on this edge. I'm just bouncing around and doing that. And then I'm going to switch over. I'm going to find if I can find it, a very thin uniform tip, right? So there is no variation to this, and I'm going to use this to create line as value. So, and in this case, I'm just going to make flat marks in a certain direction, just to kind of tone down certain areas of the tree bark and stuff. So I'm just going to come in and put in some hatching. Just add a little more density to it. All right, and there's definitely a lot of value up here. So now, because of the way I'm going to mark this, I'm going to keep all of my value marks in about the same direction, but it's also creating some hatching up in there where some of those other lines were. All right, cool. I'm going to throw a little more up here. It's really dark right under here. So the combination of value lines, and we're fixing and getting a lot of contrast and value modeling to start to happen. There's some values over here. I'm going to throw a little more over on this side. Throw some on in here. Again, that's just value. Line is value. And if you do it right, everything should start feeling like it has form. There we go. So, switch back over to my brush real quick. Now we're looking 25 minutes. That's not bad. I got a really small, this is an extra small brush, so this could be fun. See what it does. Oh yeah, that's a nice tip too. We can also start dropping in, you know, some irregular textural, you know, like insect holes happening in here. Punch up some of those forms inside that value line. There we go. All right, so there we go. I'm even using it as some value. So we can do all sorts of fun stuff with a gnarly old tree. That's some cross contour marks right there. And we have a tree trunk in ink, irregular shapes, organic shapes, creating a wood texture. What more could you want? All right, there we go. That's our tree. I hope this was a helpful little lesson. Do these. These are a lot of fun. Like I said, they're interpretive. They're kind of like the bird watercolors. You can just kind of go crazy with it and really kind of practice your confidence in your mark making and your understanding of how line works by drawing these gnarly old tree trunks and bark and stuff like that. So close observation of textures is a lot of fun. Like I said, it's kind of liberating. So hey, I hope this little tutorial was helpful. You got some value out of it. If you did, please give me a like and a subscribe. Share it out to a friend, relative, or neighbor. Anybody who's wanting to start a watercolor and a drawing creative journey, send them here. We'll help them out. And if you're getting anything out of this whole channel that you think you can support, if I'm doing anything worth a hoot, please give me a $5 a month membership. And if you're needing a little more structure with what you're doing and trying to learn how to do watercolor and drawing, I do have some resources in my website. The links are in the video description. Head over there and you can download some free stuff. And if you go over to Gumroad, I do have a 15-week watercolor challenge. It's a syllabus. Tie that along with the 15-week calendar and you're going to have a whole set of assignments to work on 3 days a week through the course of 15 weeks, videos to watch, and some kind of overall goals and objectives of each week. So get out the Gumroad, buy that. I do appreciate the support, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.